My husband and I bought a camper trailer last year, and we've made good use of it during the pandemic. We took a trip a few weeks ago to Delaware and Virginia to camp for a week, and I thought I would share with you the sketchbook that I kept along the way. This is a Pentalic sketchbook. It's a Pentalic Aqua Journal, 5 by 8, 140 pounds. It's the first time I've used it, and I really enjoyed it. The paints that I used for this journal were mostly core watercolors. I have a set of 24 that I put in this palette, and these are just a few extra colors that I added. So let's take a look at the sketches now. Here's the title page. I love this quote: "There's no doubt that running away on a fresh blue morning can be exhilarating," by Jean Reese. And I wanted this journal to just look fun, so I used this colorful lettering style here and made kind of wacky letters. I used gel pens, a pink one and a blue one for some of this, and I also used some Staedtler Tri-Plus fine liners in some bright colors, just to give that page a fun feeling. Oh, and also I used a Micron 01 pen to put shadows on the lettering in the quotes, just to give it a little added dimension. So that's page 1. We made it to Cape Henlopen State Park in Lewis, Delaware, and this is about our trip that day. This foliage was beautiful on the way, going down through West Virginia and Western Maryland. And then we saw a spectacular sunset that night over the Delaware Bay. And the colors I used in this sunset to get that really vivid color in there was New Gamboge for the yellow, and Permanent Rose for the pink, and probably some cobalt blue to make a purpley color where it combined with the pink there. This page was from a bike ride that we took the next day, the first day at Cape Henlopen, and it used to be a military installation during, well, from World War I through the Cold War. And this is a 16-inch gun that they have on display there. I thought it was kind of a cool idea for a sketch. And I added some pinks and purples in that the gray colors there to make it look a little more interesting and fun. On that same bike ride, we stopped at the Delaware Bay and had this beach all to ourselves in the afternoon. So we threw out a blanket on the beach, and my husband napped while I sat and sketched for an hour or so. And I drew and painted this right on location there. And I added some water into the manganese blue of the sky to make these cloud formations, which I think turned out kind of cool. And then down here to get the greenish area in the water, I forget, I either added yellow or green to that manganese blue. And then over here I used a rigger for some of these grasses. Now we went into the little town of Lewis, Delaware, which is just adorable, and I sketched this fall display that they had along the road and a cute little cafe. The lettering that I'm using in this journal, I decided to learn a new lettering style. It's called Matilda, and it's always kind of hard to, wrap your head around journaling, doing a lot of text with a new style, but I forced myself to learn it, and I really like it. I think it's kind of perky. Now for this kayaking page, I wanted to have the bright green of my kayak there and also incorporate that color in other areas on the page. So I used a color called, it's American Journey Skips Green, which is a really intense green, similar to leaf green, but that's what I used on the kayak there. And then I painted some of that on, mixed with some blue for the border, let it dry, and then I used this stencil, a plastic stencil, laid it over the border and took a dampened Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and wiped over that and lifted my stencil. And then you blot with a tissue, blot, 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 and you get those lifted polka dots. We went down to the beach one evening right around sunset, and there was a whole flock of seagulls standing right in front of me, so I whipped out my sketchbook and did some pencil sketches of them. I inked them later at home and added some watercolor. This one is an observation tower that's part of Fort Miles there at Cape Henlopen. They used this during World War II to look for Nazi submarines out in the water off in the Atlantic. And the colors that I used in the sky, you know, it was late in the day, almost sunset, and there was a beautiful glow to the sky, so I used permanent rose and probably cobalt blue there. Now for this pine branch sketch, I just wanted to point out that I kind of married these two sketches together by using this background wash. I actually did it after I painted the pine branches, which wasn't particularly easy, but I thought it needed something to make the page look more cohesive. This is a little portion of a Victorian home in the town of Lewis. We went out to dinner one evening. As I wrote here, it's our first dinner out since February due to the pandemic. And we went to a place called Striper Bites, and I copied the design off of their sign, which was kind of cool. I used, once again, the gel pens to do the lettering, and I used a Sharpie black pen to get that really dark black in the background. And, you know, I did sketch this shrimp and grits when my dinner arrived there at the table. I had to do some speed sketching, speed drawing, but at least I had my undertow martini to enjoy while I was doing my sketching. And then I painted it later back at our camper. For this page, we left Cape Henlopen that morning and we drove all across Delaware, across the big scary Chesapeake Bay Bridge, and then across the Potomac River down to Westmoreland State Park. The next day we went for a hike and went to a place called Fossil Beach, and these are called the Horsehead Cliffs. And I sketched this on location while we watched people, you know, playing in the water. And you can see here I added some little figures to show the scale of this cliff. And we were closer to this one, so the sign looks larger there. But I had planned to do journaling in that sky, so added that later after we got back home. And the walk that we took, this is actually my favorite page from this whole sketchbook. I decided to document all the interesting things that we saw in this walk. So, you know what? I'm just going to go over it here. Fred opted to carry the heavy pack with water and art supplies rather than be seen wearing a pink backpack. His mistake, I would say. Stopped by the visitor center. They weren't any help at all. There's our, well, that's not, our trailer isn't really that cute, but we took the Big Meadow Trail, saw a pawpaw tree, which I've never seen in my life, headed for Fossil Beach, took a wrong turn up a mountain and back down again. Saw some cool fungus and mushrooms. Then we made it to the beach and the cliffs, ate our lunch there. And you'll have to stop the video and read about this. It was a funny story. Then I sketched. We saw fossils. Lady found shark's teeth on the beach. We watched a little girl teaching herself how to skip stones. We saw 2 bald eagles. And then we took the Turkey Neck Trail through the swamp. A frog jumped out in front of me and scared me half to death. So I had to include him in there saying, "Boo!" We went on the Beaver Pond Trail, saw no beaver ponds or beavers. And the whole time we were hiking, my husband and I were just exclaiming about the beautiful trees. So I put, "We heart tall, straight trees," because we do. There was a bench at the top of a long hill, which felt really good. Then we saw this giant millipede. It had to be 6 inches long, and he was twisting around to get the gnats off his back. We did a little photo shoot and ended up having walked 4.2 miles. We were pretty proud of ourselves. Our trip home turned out to be twice as long as expected because I led Fred astray somewhere around Winchester, Virginia, and we ended up lost in the West Virginia mountains. But the fall colors were incredible, which made it almost worth it. We finally made it home, and I decided that autumn foliage was the perfect way to finish off a fall road trip travel journal. So thanks for watching this little video. I hope you enjoyed having a peek inside my camping sketchbook.